Welcome back to the View for the preview to the Blackburn game. Don't ask me why I'm doing it this way, but we're doing it this way. There's reasons, but we'll for another day. But I am joined again by Andrew Dalton to preview Leeds United's next challenge back at home at Ellen Road to come up against a Blackburn side who are having a pretty decent season and a manager in John Eustace that has the hoodoo over Daniel Farke right now, something that will need to be rectified in this game. Stats, initial thoughts going into this Blackburn game. Obviously, we've got a negative result against them once this year, but back at Ellen Road, Fortress Ellen Road, one defeat, one draw all season. Good run of form. Blackburn, 2 defeats in the last 3 games, so we're coming in at the right time.
Yeah, it's another game, isn't it, where Leeds coming to it flying, top of the league, Blackburn coming to it on the back of a defeat, home to Hull, which nobody saw coming. Obviously, Hull, our next opponent's on the Saturday, and it's a manager in John Eustace, you rightly say that. I don't think I've actually conceded against Leeds yet. Won way back in August 2023 when Leeds were in a little bit of disarray. St Andrews and Birmingham won 1-0. Obviously won in April last year when they had Sam Smodic that got the winning goal, and obviously won back in, I think, whenever it was. All the games have just been clumped into one of late. Ewood Park, and they won 1-0. So yeah. Look, home form is magnificent. 9 on the trot, looking to do 10 for the first time since 2009, since August 2009. And yeah, I can't really say much more. I fully expect Leeds to go and get that victory to set them up to the visit to the MKM Stadium on Saturday afternoon. But we don't know what the team's like. I know Daniel said after the game last night that there isn't too many injury worries. It's just whether Sam can play a 6th game in a row. So yeah, good morning, Clive. Thank you for joining us away in China. Game's over. We're international. So yeah, another game I'm very much looking forward to on New Year's Day. Hopefully the players, I'm sure, will be in bed very early tomorrow night and forget all the New Year celebrations. There's a job to do, and to finish off what would be an absolutely fantastic Christmas.
Yeah, how's our record against John Eustace? Not great. It's not great.
Three games, 3 losses.
3 games, 3 losses. Farke hasn't got a win against them
either. I've just got to say, Jim, there's been a goal at Old Trafford. Man United 0, Newcastle 1, Alexander Isak.
But he's my fantasy league team. But I'm more worried about the Chelsea being 1-0 down against Ipswich because I have 3 Chelsea players and I've captained one of them this week. I stacked them all in for the Ipswich game thinking they'll score loads of goals. So my whole week is hinging on that Chelsea game. So my fantasy league team's a mess. Absolute mess. But great to see the mid-table side being beaten by Newcastle. Or the lower mid-table side.
Lower mid-table side.
Yeah, what's it like being in 15s now, lads? Huh?
Absolutely. We could pass them, but I don't think we will. Although when we did win the league in 1973-74, Man United were relegated thanks to a Dennis Law goal back in 73-74. But times have changed over the last 50-60 years.
Yeah, someone said in the last stream that we did, it'd be great to see Leeds promoted and United relegated into one season. Manchester United relegated in the same season.
Yes.
That's sleep over here. The problem living in Ireland is I have a lot of friends who support other clubs and they say things like United and you get sucked into just listening to that one word and you associate it. But they're not the only United. There's lots of us. Lots of us. Thanks, Guy. In Israel, we've got 3rd biggest audience this channel has is in India. So it's bonkers. UK, India, Ireland, India, USA. That's the big ones. And then lots of other random ones thrown around the place as well. So it's great. I did see somebody, I was out with my nephews today picking up some bits and pieces in the shops. And a guy did say hello to me. I should have got your name, but he watches the channel. So it was the first time in my local area that I met somebody who watches the channel. So yeah, great to see that. Outside of meeting somebody getting my MOT done as well. So that was the only 2 times.
Just on that, there's a taxi driver that I use sometimes where I am. He said, "Oh, you're that guy that does the guy with the Irish accent." And it's like, yeah, it's nice to be recognised sometimes.
The closest thing I've gotten to a mainstream shout out was "Don't Go to Bed Just Yet."
Yeah.
And the first podcast that they did after Deadline Day in the summer was, why aren't you guys doing a Deadline Day stream? All I had was some Irish bloke and 2 Americans, one of which was actually Canadian.
Yes.
But that was us. And we were like, well, thanks for the almost shout out, I suppose.
Oh, good.
I think my name in the bottom every week and I still get referred to as that Irish bloke.
Irish, absolutely.
Yeah. It's nice to be able to be in a bit of a good mood coming into these streams. That's after good results for Leeds. But this is a good omen for Leeds. We're in a really good vein of form at the moment with the third best away record. So that's fixing itself in the background. We have the best home record. Sheffield United have a tough couple of games coming up, Sunderland, and they've got Watford as well. And we don't have that necessarily. Burnley are hanging in and around there as well. But Daniel Farke's got a really good opportunity to set the record straight on the John Eustace form, put that one away, like he's put the away record away now, and we can start focusing on the good stuff. So your thoughts on that, but also I want to get your thoughts on where you think Leeds now move into the new year coming past this. We're past the halfway mark now. What do we look at coming into the second half, and how do we build?
I think starting off with the game on Wednesday, obviously we've alluded to the record that John Eustace has the Indian sign over Daniel Farke. I think the only other manager he's failed to beat that's played more than one game was Russell Martin, and now he's out of a job at Southampton. I think at home, I fully expect us to make it 10 on the bounce, which is absolutely fantastic for any club to do that, and the consistency to do that is absolutely brilliant. And now the away run is bubbling under quite nicely with back-to-back victories, obviously against Stoke and Derby. The crowd will be certainly up for it. Leeds Blackburn won after the disappointment back in November. So yeah, it's an opportunity again, and with Sheffield United at Sunderland on New Year's Day, I think Burnley must be away, Burnley must be at home. I can't remember who to on the top of my head, but I think they've got a home game on New Year's Day. I want to say, it might be Cardiff or Watford. I might be completely wrong there. I cannot look to the fixtures in full detail. But all these need to do, Algeria, is just continue, rinse and repeat, keep doing what they're doing. Yes, they might have the odd slip up in there because you can't be consistent for every single game. And as I alluded to on X, Daniel Farke has now got a 57.5 win percent ratio, which I know it's all relative, and he's at 80 games, but to win 45 out of 80 is absolutely phenomenal. And it's just got to keep regurgitating, getting the same message across, keep ticking the games off. I think once you get to sort of 30 games and hopefully you're at 2 points a game or even more over the next 6 games or so, you then start looking at blocks of games. Can you win this game? Can you win that game? And then it suddenly becomes harder for the teams behind you. And that's what Leeds found out a little bit last year, because they were always chasing with Leicester and Ipswich in front of them, and the pace that those two set was actually quite fantastic. Burnley at home to Stoke. Thank you, Mike. Oh, then they've got the local derby against Blackburn on the 4th of January. So if anyone could put up who Sheffield United have got on the 4th, because I've completely lost with fixtures.
On the 4th, Sheffield United are playing away to Watford.
So that's not easy. So this is a real chance now. These next 2 games, if Leeds can get maximum points, the potential is there, without getting too excited, to open up an opportunity to open up a little gap in the table.
Burnley will be away to Blackburn as well, which won't we know.
That's never easy. Chelsea have just equalised, by the way. Joao Felix has made it 1-1 at Portman Road. Probably not your fantasy team.
Any of their midfielders.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, these next 2 games are quite big, because suddenly you're in the 26 game mark. You've then got 20 games left, and you start thinking, I know it might be a bit early, sort of the 4th of January, but how many games you need to try and tick off? And I was trying to work it out at this stage of the season. Leeds probably needing 13 more wins, which is 39 points, which will take you to 88 points or so there, or something on those lines. And then I know last year was a bit of an anomaly, but I don't think the Championship is as strong this year. So it's just a question of, from my point of view, keep ticking the games off, get the victory on New Year's Day, then look ahead against Hull on the 4th of January, which again won't be an easy game, because Ruben Sellers has got them starting to win games as well since he's taken over the job from Reading.
Yeah, he's done a really good job, John Eustace. Crazy decision by Birmingham to sack him last season, and look at what happened after that decision. Crazy. I mean, Plymouth have done the same thing with their club as well, making a crazy decision to let a manager go and then end up with
Wayne Rooney. Yeah, which isn't working. I'm amazed very quickly that he's still in a job. They are getting not just beat, they're getting humiliated every week away from home. And yeah, I can't see Rooney lasting very long. It'd be nice if he lasted till the end of the season, because Leeds go down the last day of the season. But I'm hoping by the time I'm 40 that Leeds are back in the Premier League.
As a 40-year-old, I can tell you everything's disappointing after 40.
I bet you can. Not surprised.
Yeah, we've got some good things here. We've got some good things to look at. I mean, if you look at Leeds versus Derby, Blackburn, Derby was yesterday. If you look at Leeds versus Blackburn, goals scored this season, Leeds 44 goals, Blackburn 27. We've conceded 15, they've conceded 21. Goals per game, Leeds are averaging 1.8 goals per game, Blackburn 1.2. So they can score, and they do have a goal scoring threat. and clean sheets Leeds 14, Blackburn 10. So there's not a massive amount. Similar to Derby, when you looked at them independently of each other and then put them side by side, on paper there wasn't a huge amount between them, and it comes down to individual moments or team, I suppose, how the team connects well together in these moments and in these games. And in Ellen Road, we've seen the wide players specifically do incredibly well for Leeds United and create the bulk of our chances, goal scoring, assists, or goals. And coming into this game, one of the big questions will be, what does he do with the wide areas? We saw a full change last week. Ramazani, I was okay with Ramazani. His first full game back after being out injured. They're taking their time bringing him back in. The ankle injury was a bad one, so they needed to mind him with that a little bit.
Absolutely.
Got his game, got a few minutes under his belt. He'll get sharper the more he gets moving. But does Daniel Farke go back to Solomon and Dan James, which on paper right now appears to be the best partnership for the wide players that we've got so far?
Yeah, I think he probably will do. I think obviously with the game, another game in mind with 3 days later and the rest and recovery session, you're not going to get much time after the Blackburn game to recover and come back into training on the Thursday. Have the practice on the Friday with tactics and what have you. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Dan James and Manuel Solomon and Joel Pereira do probably come back in for Mateo Willian Onto and largely Ramazani. And the difference between this year and last year, we have the options, we have the strength in depth. You look at the squads, Contreras goal rolled off for Osasa, still 1-0 to Ipswich. You look at the depth this time around, as I think someone said on there, that we probably didn't have that last year. If a player got injured, it was kind of, hang on a second here, what did we do? We lost Druick obviously for quite a bit last season, and although Ampadu and Ronan were absolutely brilliant at centre half, you still lost that at the back. So this year we have got the strength in depth. It wouldn't surprise me if he just kind of reverts to type a little bit, reverts to the Stoke team. We need to see what he does with Tanaka and Rothwell, but you've got the options there. Yeah. So I think
does he drop his captain for this game and go back with Tanaka and Rothwell for home games? Does he bring Ampadu in for the away games? He's got real options there.
Very good. He might do, it's a very good question. I mean, it's a very good issue to have, isn't it? Because you turn the clock back to the start of the season, we didn't have these sort of quandaries of where does this player play here, does this player play there? So he might put Ethan back on the bench, but it's such a nice selection to have, isn't it? To have these issues that do you play Ampadu, do you play Rothwell, do you play Tanaka, what do you do with the wingers? It's great to have, and for me to breathe a bit of contempt, but I think he might revert a little bit back to the Stoke 11 for me and get the result against Blackburn. Probably take players off at 65, 70 minutes again, which worked a treat. And I have to say, it was quite funny last night that the players came on exactly on 70 minutes, which it just made everyone smile as well, that watching in the ground or watching at home. So, yeah, there's no reason why you shouldn't change it back to Stoke, rest the players, and then see where we are going to that Hull City game again, which won't be easy on the Saturday, the 4th of January.
It's a really interesting social experiment, I think, with a manager, especially in this situation, because you pick a captain at the start of the season. You usually pick your captain because of the influence that they have, but also the reliability. And the way I always used to pick a captain is, I need someone on the pitch that represents me and how I feel about a game, and can be me on the pitch while I do the sideline stuff.
Yes.
And Ampadu does all those things for Farke. You can understand how they fit so well together, and now he's his natural captain. But it's a big decision for a manager to go, do you know what? Yeah, you are the skipper, but we've got 2 other really good players right now. You're coming back from an injury as well. Do we need to really flog you again in this game? Can we rotate around? And I just think it's a very interesting social experiment to see, will a manager rest his captain and rely on his vice captain?
Yes.
Or does that now mean when he comes back in, no, you're the captain, you're central midfield, you're going to start every game moving forward, regardless of form?
I think you've got to manage the players in this situation, haven't you? With so many games in so many days, like, don't know what time I'd have got back last night with it being 6:15 kickoff. Probably I'm about 10-11ish. Had the warm down and start again ahead of the Blackburn game on Wednesday. So yeah, it's great selection quandaries to have. I couldn't tell you what the team would, because we don't know that the physical state the players are in. But I think after you win game and you've won 3 in a row, you just want to keep on going, and keep playing. So it'll be interesting to see what he does. He'll bring Isaac Schmidt in, because there might be question marks over Sam Byron, but. Probably not. Yeah, but it won't surprise me if he just reverted to the starting 11 that we had at the Bet365 on Boxing Day.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that as well. I think the question mark, as it says here, can't see Byram I couldn't see Byron playing 3 games. He's played 5 in a row now. He seems okay. And again, poor Isaac Schmidt just standing on the sideline waving, going, I'm over here, lads. If you need a left back, give me a shout. But Sam's doing well. And if Sam's body is holding up, and if the medical team are telling him that the data suggests he's not near an injury and he's doing okay, then why not stick with him? And as you've already said, Stats, at this point of the season, when you've got a bit of momentum, consistency is really important, and to keep that going. But again, we've got this really good ability this year to rotate the squad. And as you say, don't know what the team will be. And actually, I'm all right with that. Like, the days of me looking at the team sheet going, I think Farke's made a mistake there, are pretty much gone, because we've questioned his substitutions all season.
Yeah.
And his subs this year have had the biggest impact of Daniel Farke's subs ever.
Yeah.
So it's working.
It's funny you should say that, and having read when the team came out last night, always rotated, he's rested everybody, and lo and behold, look what happens again when 1-0 brings the subs on, it's perfect. So he knows what he's doing, and I think he probably will revert a little bit to type for the Blackburn game, and then we'll see what shape the team's in for the whole game. And sometimes adrenaline can get you through these games when you're winning games week after week after week. It brings confidence. You're going on that pitch. You're going to win your individual battles. You probably know you're going to win the games. It's a nice option to have. And the only players that are currently injured are probably Eli Grover, who's slowly returned to training, and Junior Firpo. So let's see what the team is. It won't surprise me what happens, and let's enjoy. Let's get the 3 points. Let's owe John Eustace one, and because he's got our number a little bit at the moment, and look ahead to a very tricky game, the Yankee on Saturday.
Yeah, we'll calm John Eustace down a little bit, because I'm loving looking at the last 5 games and seeing win, draw, win, win, win. And I want to see another W on that as well. Manor Solomon getting a lot of praise, rightly so. Mark saying he should be coming back into the team. He's been excellent, considering there was a section that wanted to send him back. Yeah, somebody else said yesterday about looking at Dor Turgeman, that's a player we shouldn't look at. I think you need to have a proper look at Dor Turgeman. If he comes into Leeds, he'll play, he'll be involved. He's a decent young player, and he's a physical player as well. Nice. Sam Byron's like the Terminator this year, unstoppable. He's been absolutely phenomenal. Schmidt gets some game time against Harrogate. I think Bamford, I think Schmidt, I think they all play against them. Maybe even De Boyo, and you might even see Charlie Crew come in for that game as well. So we'll just have to
another goal at Old Trafford. Man United 0, Newcastle 2.
Oh, very good. That's that then. Yeah, this is an interesting one. I want to get your thoughts on this, and I said this to you a couple of weeks ago. I had a thought on this, and Michael's holding me to this, that the rival clubs in the second half of the season won't concentrate on low blocks against Leeds. They'll have to fight relegation and playoffs, which means they have to come out and play a bit more. And I think we're starting to see that even in the last couple of weeks. That the low blocks seem to have gone away and be replaced by mid blocks, which means there is still a bit of space for Leeds to play in, and any kind of space is beneficial for the wide players we have.
And I think that suits Leeds, doesn't it? When teams try and come out and play, and it creates a little bit of space in behind, and makes it a lot easier, I think, for Leeds to play. The defeats that we've had, like against Burnley, that had a bit of a low block. Millwall had a bit of a low block, and Leeds couldn't couldn't quite break them down. So and I think that'll help Leeds, because at the start of the season, I know points aren't as precious as they are at sort of the end of the season when teams are battling promotion, trying to stay in the league. The harder games will come when you've got teams that have got nothing to play for, to be honest with you. But at the moment, we've got a Blackburn team trying to get into the top 6. You've got a Hull team trying to move away from the relegation scrap. Harrogate, obviously, is Harrogate, and then I think we've got Sheffield Wednesday coming up after that as well. So I think these games suit Leeds, and it suits the players a bit more. And I do have that space to work in and around, to get the wingers in and around, and get the cross into the box, and hopefully have the strikers on the end of it to score the goals. Yeah,
there's plenty of balls going into the box, all right, but we haven't always had someone on the end of them. I thought the Stoke game probably suited Joseph better, and he gets the start against Derby instead. It was a huge amount of balls went across the box. I think when Dan James plays, that's games you consider Mateo Joseph in, because Dan James puts those kind of balls into the area where Mateo tends to be. The other wide players tend to cut inside, and I don't think that plays into Mateo's strong parts of his game, which are those front post attacking, front post runs. Pirro likes to be more central, so when they cut inside it, they link up quite well with him. So I think it's how the opposition shape up about how we should play with our front two. Which of the two would you even consider starting? And does Brendan Aronson finally get a bit of a rest? Do you need to put Rothwell in the 10 maybe and keep getting Ampadu?
Oh, crikey, million dollar question. I think Brendan's on a Duracell bunny rabbit at the moment, isn't he? That keeps on running. And again, confidence. Scoring the goal yesterday is giving him a lot of confidence. And I personally think he will start. I think he will revert to Dan James and Manor Solomon, my name escaped me then. And I think he'll revert back to, I don't know what he'll do with Ampadu. He might take him out, so he might go Rafael and Tanaka. And I think also bring back Joel Pirro after his 2 goals at Stoke. Yeah. But as we've said, it's so nice to have these options, isn't it? And this is where we struggled this time last season. We didn't have those options there, certainly to chop and change the team. So, yeah, get the crowd behind us. Obviously, Dan James played 20 minutes yesterday, but a bit fresher, as well. Manor Solomon had a brilliant hand in the goal last night as well. So it's nice to get into these topics and get into the selection of it all, and to have these options to come off the bench. And the bench last night was absolutely brilliant. And I know Derby fans are a little bit, I don't like using the word salty, but they said you've got a £150 million squad. You've still got to go ahead and beat these teams and put in front of you. And I allude to sort of Nottingham Forest, the job that Nuno Espirito Santo's doing at the City Ground is absolutely fantastic, and they're at the moment second in the league. So you've still got to go and do the job. It doesn't matter how much money you spend on squad. Look at Man City; they hadn't won in 9 or something before they went to Leicester yesterday. So you've still got to put the tactics together, you've got to put the players together, and you've got to put it on the pitch. And so far we're doing that. 51 points, 9 wins in the trot at Ellen Road, looking to make it 10 on Wednesday, and then move on to the MKM Stadium on Saturday afternoon.
I love Joe Rodon, and I've said it for 2 years. I love him. I think he's phenomenal for Leeds. But a couple of weeks ago I said some of the comments he made after the game around teams having low blocks and not letting us play felt very kind of, oh, they won't let me play football. Why won't they let me play football? Kind of an entitlement statement, which has luckily been knocked out of us. But when I hear Derby fans say, or other fans say, we have a 150 million squad, like that's our problem.
No, like, exactly.
What are we supposed to do? Not play them just so we can even the field with you guys? If you were in the same boat, you'd do the same thing. It's the championship. And we saw last year, having that squad guarantees you nothing in this division.
Absolutely.
So you've got to come out and play. And if I was Derby fans, I'd be more salty at the fact that you didn't come out and play.
Correct. And that's not our fault. The way that we were in the Premier League 2 years ago, we've earned the right to have the parachute payments. I think I'm just on the boat. Sorry, I'm having a couple of issues with the camera. That we can't help it, that what the rules are, that we will find it difficult if we go up next season, but that's a conversation for another day. We've got the players, that's what's put in front of us. You've still got to put the squads together. You've still got to go and win the games, and you've still got to get the tactics absolutely right. If I was a Derby County fan last night, I'd be more concerned that I'm shot on target.
Yeah, that's what I'd be focused on.
Is the way I look at it. And also I'd allude to the performance back at Ellen Road at the start of the month when the manager came out saying was happy losing 2-0, which to me, if you're a manager happy losing 2-0, I'm not quite sure where your ethics are at Derby County. But look, we've won the game. Another team has been beaten, team that's been doubled as well, and we move on to Blackburn on Wednesday.
Yeah. Thoughts on the Blackburn game coming in? This Leeds coming in 4 wins and 1 draw in their last 5. Blackburn's last 5, 2 wins, 1 draw, 2 losses. 2 losses in their last 3, no wins in the last 3 games. That's their bubble popped a little bit. So look at that record on paper. You look at Blackburn's away record, 5th best away record in the league. Leeds' best home record in the league. You put all that together. The only outlier is John Eustace versus Daniel Farke.
Yes, that means Leeds nil Blackburn. No, I'm kidding. I think Blackburn have hit a little bit of a bumpy bump. They've got 1 point from the last 2 games. Got a late equaliser against Sunderland on Boxing Day. Obviously lost against Hull City yesterday, and obviously they'll want to try and get back onto an even kill at Ellen Road on Wednesday afternoon. And John will probably use as motivation that they won here Ellen Road last season, although they did have a certain Sammy Smodix in the team who's now at Ipswich Town. But I think Daniel also used that as motivation, saying, look, they got one over us at Ewood Park earlier this season. It's up to us to go and put the wrongs right. And I'm sure he'll want to get the point across there. He'll want to be at John Eustace's side, because as we alluded to at the start of the show, it's 3 games against John Eustace and it's 3 defeats without scoring. So 1-0, I think, as I say, in August, and then last season in April, and back earlier this season. So 3 1-0 defeats. So although obviously all different circumstances and what have you, but we're a different team now. We've got the monkey off our back away from home, and I fully expect Leeds to make it 10 in a row at Ellen Road on Wednesday.
I think the last time we didn't score at home was Burnley.
Yeah, which are Blackburn's rivals. So hopefully there's not a link there, please. And I think Blackburn will come out and play because they need the points as much as Leeds do. And as you rightly say, that helps Leeds a little bit. That if teams can come out and play, it gives Leeds a little bit more space. You haven't got that low block.
Not getting superstitious. I am. I'm not gonna lie. I'm an incredibly superstitious guy when it comes to. I wore a sock inside out for an entire season because I scored a goal with it inside out, so I stuck with it. So I'm incredibly superstitious when it comes to football, Clive. So yeah, if there's an outlier, I'm gonna grab onto it and go.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, can't imagine. I can't remember such a positive Leeds United Christmas. No, neither can I. And there's a really good point being made by Ian Sunderland, and he says at some point our home form will come under pressure. Pretty soft penalty, but fairly even games. It's likely to happen with Leeds this season. Our home form went off the boil after the international break in March last season. That's still something I've got one very clear eye on this year as well, of how do we approach that period of the year, because for the last 3 seasons that international break has caused Leeds issues.
I'm just looking at the fixtures sort of after March time, because I think you do have that March international break during mid-March time for the last one of the season. We come back, we play Swansea City at home, Luton away, Borough away won't be easy, Preston at home, Oxford away, Stoke at home, Bristol City at home, and finish at Plymouth. I think it's different this season. I think Daniel and the team have learned from last season. Look, we all looked at that QPR game back at the end of April last year, and we all winced when we watched it, and it was a very disappointing performance. Leeds just fell away a little bit. I think this time round, I think the players are more mature, as I've alluded to, and I fully expect them. And I said it in August when I came on the pre-Portsmouth show. I expect Leeds to win the league, and I've never shied away from them. We had little blips away from them against Millwall and Blackburn, and okay, the draw at Preston. I still believe Leeds will in May be lifting that championship trophy.
Yeah, we will drop points and we will lose more games this season. Yeah. Guaranteed to happen. Leeds will not go unbeaten for the rest of the season. If they do, hell of a job from Varka, but it's very, very unlikely. Leicester ended up with 11 defeats last season, so we are going to lose more games. It's how we react to those losses. And I think the circumstances surrounding the losses, the performance style, how the goals went in, all that kind of stuff will get taken into consideration as well. So
definitely.
A lot to think about. Stats, score prediction before we get into some January talk.
I'm going to go 2-0 Leeds, Piru, and let's have one for Ayo Tanaka. Let him get off the mark at Ellen Road. Yeah.
I still want Tanaka to score. I want Tanaka to get one. So hopefully, or Rothwell. I want one of the midfielders who haven't scored yet to score. That would be my if Liverpool win the league, we win the league. Done.
63 for 89, 90, 19, 20. Let's hope it happens again.
Yeah, I agree with again Ian Moore just saying there. QPR were playing catch up this season. The pressure is on other teams. We're in driving seat. Yeah, when we played QPR last year, we were playing catch up. We were trying to get ahead of these. Yeah, if we're ahead of them, it's a bit different. We can manage games differently. We don't have to go gung ho necessarily into games. 2-0. Karen is going as well. I'm going 2-0 as well. I asked my AI, give my AI all the information today. What's the score? Because I've been getting them wrong in the last couple of weeks. It said 2-0 based on the form. We'll have to wait and see. AFE ASMR, my missus once. I don't know why I'm so happy lately because Leeds are winning. Big news in my household, by the way. We're going to the Norwich game. Jess got me
fabulous
hospitality for the Norwich game for Christmas, which I love. She's coming to her first ever game, and she's bought a Leeds United shirt. So we're winning. We're winning in the house.
We're winning, people. We certainly are. We certainly are.
She still thinks we're gaslighters, but it's important that she's now starting to get hooked into the gaslighting. So that'll be good. 3-1 from Guy. Dave thinks 2-0. Gavin's going 4-0. Led Zepp thinks 2-0. Aronson and DJ. Farker 1. Eustace 1. Ian. Clive, agree with stats 2-0. 2 goals from corner, stroke and run. Wouldn't that be nice to see?
That'd be lovely.
Linda Bond 2-0 as well. Stats, I want to talk a little bit. Actually, one last one. PBS 2-2 draw. The winning run ends at Elland Road. Ooh.
We haven't conceded 2 at home. I think at least 2 at home since Portsmouth, I believe, on the opening day of the season. Yeah. So I think we've learned a lot basically from the start of the season.
Let's talk about January stuff. Stats.
Yes.
Daniel Farke has made some interesting comments. This time last year, I've gone back and looked at a couple of press conferences from this time last year.
Yes.
Refused to talk about transfers.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk about them, he said.
Yeah.
If anything happens, we'll stay awake, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
This year, can you rule out a marquee signing? No, I can't rule out a marquee signing. Do you have to sell players to bring players in? No, there's money there to bring players in. Will you be looking at the window? We will be alive during this window. So you would like to think the lessons of the past have been learned, even though the squad is probably better balanced this year. Leeds have possibly 2 exits, but there is news today coming out that Farke won't allow Gelhardt and Bamford to both leave, but one can go. So it'll be interesting to see which one of those 2 goes. I'd love your thoughts on those front 2 and where do you think Pat Bamford is going right now?
It's interesting. He came on off yesterday, did he, Paddy? Had an opportunity to make it 2-0 and shore the game up. He's on 197 appearances. It'd be lovely to see him to get to 200. I do feel that it might be coming to an end, whether it'll be in January or whether it'll be at the end of the season. Personally, I think you may see Joffrey Gelhardt, because he's not been involved at all since Bristol City. I think out of the two, he's the most likely one to possibly go out on loan. For some reason, some players it works at clubs, some players it doesn't, and on this occasion it hasn't, and I think he might go on loan. I'd love to see Emil Buendia come in from Aston Villa. There are rumours that they are going to make him available for a possible loan move, because I think if he comes in, that will be the missing part of the jigsaw. But then where do you fit him in? Because we're doing so well. Do you then give Brendan Aronson a rest in that number 10 role? It remains to be seen. But yeah, I don't think it'll be a busy one, and I think Daniel has said that he'll wait till after the whole game and assess the situation. You don't know anything with injuries.
That was the other interesting piece, Stats, because he said no business till after January 4th, which is a very specific thing to say.
Yeah, I think it's a case of getting the Christmas period out of the way, because there's so many games in short space of time. We play 26th, 29th, 1st, 4th, and then you've got a break to the Harrogate game, then another break to the Sheffield Wednesday game. So I think he's keeping his eyes and ears open. They've got a brilliant recruitment team. The transfers have been absolutely top-notch this year. Look at Ayo Tanaka for a pinch at $3 million. Joe Rothwell on loan as well has been absolutely superb. So I don't think there's certainly not massive surgery that needs to be done to the squad, because we're top of the league on 51 points. It might need that little bit of sprinkle, and maybe if we get that number 10 role in Emil Buendia, that will be the final missing piece of the jigsaw for me. So yeah, I think depends on Joffrey Gelhardt. I do think Paddy will probably stay if out of the two, because I don't think you get rid of both of them, because you still need to have that option there in case Joel Piroux or Mateo Joseph do get injured. So yeah, it's one to keep an eye on, and I don't think they'll be as active. I don't think they need to be as active. No. I don't believe in any of those talks with Brighton and Tanaka. No. His mum and dad were in the crowd last night.
I'll say this again. I've said it before. I don't mean to have a dig at individual people. I know he watches the channel from time to time, but if your source of information is Joe Tiffany on Twitter, you're following the wrong guy, because he's not connected to anybody at the club, or connected to a journalist, and he's been putting out there that Tanaka's going. Tanaka's agent has been speaking that the player wants to play at the Premier League. If Leeds don't get promoted, then look at maybe Tanaka. But as has been said, Tanaka's already played for 2 teams this year.
Correct.
He cannot play for a 3rd team this season.
You can't.
So Joe's response to this was they'll loan him back.
They can't do that.
They won't sign him.
Yeah, you can't even do that. You can't sign for another team and be loaned back. It's not in the lords of the transfers. So I don't know why this individual is doing what he's doing. But yeah, there's absolutely no chance of Tanaka leaving Leeds United.
Yeah, it was a strange thing to see. Joe's not a bad kid, but it was a strange thing. It was a strange thing to read, because the rules of the game don't allow it to happen, so therefore it cannot happen.
Yeah.
So,
and as we said, even to loan someone back, you can't do, because you can't be involved in. You can't then sell a player and then loan them straight back in transfer window if you've already played for another club that season. You just can't do it.
You're still signing a contract at the new club, and that's 3 contracts, and you can't sign 3 contracts in a season.
Yeah.
So it won't happen. The question that is popping up, and there is a little bit of interest, and I'm just picking this tweet from John to highlight the player. There is a little bit of noise around Pascal Struijk, and there's still a question mark around what's going on with Max Verber behind the scenes. Is it that he needs another knee operation, or is there something else going on there? And that comes up because of the history of Max Verber and the Red Bull Salzburg guys talking consistently about him. But in that area, Leeds have been linked with a couple of centre-backs, and it's still an area where reasonably light, and James DeBoyo was there as a covering centre-back, but very young. Ethan Ampadu can play there, but you want to have him in the middle of the park. So it's probably an area Leeds will either look at this January or potentially in the summer anyway, regardless of what happens with them.
Yeah, look, I can't see any of the first team squad leaving, certainly this side of the transfer window. Obviously, there's a conversation to have, and depending what league we're in next season, hopefully be in the Premier League, and then there'll be conversations to have around players and players coming in. And I know Spurs are struggling at centre-back. They even played young Archie, didn't they, on against Wolves the other day. So, yeah, I can't. Pascal's just gone with his job. I can't see him leaving. I know kind of limited to be a centre back, aren't you? I've got James Abaya there if needs be. But yeah, as AVR says there, I can't see any shock departures there, certainly in January. Obviously, we might have an issue in August, but that's a conversation to have in August. As I always maintain, when you're in a promotion race, they'll have two pieces of paper and two lists. One will be if you're in the Championship next season, one will be if you're in the Premier League this season, and then you'll look at them there and then once you know where we are. Again, I can't see that happening for us. With Lampard, he's not going to happen.
He's not going to sit on the bench again.
No, but these Leeds know exactly what they're doing. They're in a position to go and win promotion, potentially win the Championship, and I personally can't see any sort of first team players leaving. The only one I can possibly see leaving is Joe Gelhardt.
Yeah, I think Rangers being heavily linked on QPR have had a look as well. There's a couple of clubs have a look at him. Celtic were mentioned, but they've got a lot of strikers. I think if he was going anywhere, go to Rangers, go play some football. Never thought I'd say that out loud about one of the Leeds players, go play for Rangers. But you look, there you go, Leeds first. There is a rumour about Maccabi Tel Aviv striker Dor Turgeman, 21-year-old, big boy of a young striker. Physical. Manager has described him as a beast on the park. Doesn't get a massive amount of goals, but is a good player, has legs, can move as well. Has been very, very strongly linked with a move to Leeds United. So we'll see what happens there. I think if one goes, as has been said, I think if Leeds are bringing the centre back in, it's possibly because Max Ferber's going somewhere else. And I think if Leeds are bringing in a striker, it's probably because Joe Gelhardt's going somewhere else. I think everybody else pretty much stays put. And they may have a look at a loan for a number 10. Yeah. Depending on what he wants to do with Joe Rothwell and these three midfielders, how he wants to line them up, it'll be interesting. As you've said, Stats, I don't see it being a very busy January. In fact, it said it'll be quiet. But I think 2 additions, maybe a loan, would be smart. I think if we were to go for it now, knowing what's on the horizon, this is the time to do it. Now you're top of the division, don't rest, get going. And ideally, do them early. Let's not wait till the 31st of January to try and get our business done. Because Sheffield United's takeover's going through. They'll have money, they'll spend it. Burnley will strengthen. Sunderland they've Jack Clark money burning a hole in their pocket. They're going to spend that in January as well. They're very close to it as well. So as long as we do something, I'm okay with that. But we'll see over the next couple of weeks, and we'll do a proper review of what the January window could look like in a couple of days' time. Probably next week we'll get into that. But Stats, there's a question for you.
Yes.
That has come in from Darren, and Darren said, "Best December since 2010." Did you say that Stats the other day? I
did, yeah. That December's always annoyed me because we had 3 games, we drew 3 of them, and we should have won all 3. We didn't lose them at the back end of Christmas, and I think we beat Burnley 3-2. We beat QPR 2-0 when we went second in the league. Then I think we drew to Leicester 2-2 and 2-0 up. Due to Pompey, where 3-3 when we were 3-1 up, we didn't lose. And I always allude to it that had Simon been backed that January, Leeds had been back in the Premier League. Unfortunately, it wasn't the case, and he was sacked 12 months later. But we're looking to complete our first perfect Christmas in the top 2 tiers. And I tweeted this morning since season 2005-2006, when we won 4 games over the Christmas period. Although that year we finished 5th and lost out to Watford in the playoff final, so hopefully no repeat. But to achieve what we've achieved, and to get 3 out of 3 over Christmas would be absolutely fantastic. So, and I think we've got an opportunity to go and do that against Blackburn on New Year's Day.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, Darren. Just saying, be loans of anything, as we need to think about the FFP. I think we're coming into a new FFP cycle next season.
I believe so.
Year,
yes.
New year.
Yeah.
And I think Leeds might be okay. And Brackets did say we brought a lot in during the summer, so there could be money there. And if they were to spend it now, chances of any repercussions from the EFL are slim to none at this point of the season. If we were going to break it, we'd have already broken it. So I think we could be smart. And if Paddy does go on loan and there's a deal done with the wages, a split or whatever, that brings the money down. So we could be okay, but we'll have to wait and see. Stats, massive thank you as always for joining me for these. We'll have a warm-up before the morning of the Blackburn game. I'll have the news in the morning. Today's news is available as well if you want to go and check that out. And again, just want to say a massive thanks to everyone that joined me on the watch-along for the Derby game. As someone has pointed out, we've done 2 watch-alongs. We've had 2 wins, and we haven't conceded in either of those 2 games. So we will keep it going. It is on the Big Up platform. You've got to go over there and join the platform and then become one of the community members on my channel. It's all very free. Join in. I'm meeting them this week to talk about some different improvements to the stuff. Someone asked me why I'm not doing the watch-alongs on YouTube. I don't want to encroach on other people whose livelihood it is doing watch-alongs. I don't want to split a fan base. Big Up is a new platform that's dedicated to live sporting streaming and only sports streaming. So I want to kind of give that a try, see what it's like, and keep it kind of independent to this channel for now anyway, and see how it goes. I'm not overly comfortable doing them just yet, so it's giving me a chance to get used to it with a smaller audience and then moving into YouTube. So we'll see how it goes. The platform is great. There's no adverts on the platform, so it's straight in and you're full match. So yeah, they are the reasons why. And we'll just everyone's saying thanks to chat. Appreciate everyone. I hope you've all had a lovely, lovely Christmas. We're coming into the new year. Enjoy the new year. Be safe. Look after yourselves, and fingers crossed for Leeds to get 3 points against Blackburn Rovers and continue this run at the top of the table. So that's anything you want to leave us with?
Just to wish everybody a happy and healthy new year. Thank you also for all the support for the channel. It's been absolutely brilliant. I've met so many new people through it as well. I made so many friends, including yourself, Cheer for Life. And and very much looking forward to 2025 and seeing Ethan Ampadu lift that championship trophy come what may.
Yeah, let's see that. Folks, enjoy yourselves. Big love. Talk to you soon. See you. Bye.